Well, good evening, card chargers, and welcome back to the Cincinnati Kids Vintage Baseball Card channel. As you can see behind my nameplate, looks like we're going to have a Mookie approved cue list tonight of what we're going to discuss. And first off, I'm going to do a shout out, followed by some card shares here, and I'm going to give a little update on my Strongsville status coming up in the end of the month. So, first a shout out, and you can see I'm displaying a beautiful 1954 Topps Ted Kluszewski in the beautiful SGC cased 3.5, and also this, maybe a little hint of who the shout out might be for. This beautiful silver Ike. So the shout out is for Adam at Vintage Sanctuary. And so I've been watching his channel a lot more lately, and we've been communicating a little bit back and forth on comments, and he has a beautiful collection of cards. And his recent video, the splash window for it, had his beautiful Ted Kluszewski, which I think was in a beautiful slabbed 4, fabulous 4, I think he calls it. And I think this one looks almost as nice as his does. But he's going to talk about the clue and show off a great clue card. I'm going to shout him out. And he's just a great individual, just the way he carries himself and just the way he presents all his cards, and his quiet and friendly, open demeanor when he's talking on his channel and describing his cards. It's just really neat, and I really enjoyed his channel and getting to know him a little bit better. So go check out Adam at Vintage Sanctuary. He used to be, or still is, a coin collector, and it's a neat story about how he talked about how on some of his earlier videos about how he turned some of his, or I think some of the podcasts he's been on, turned some of his coin collection into cards. So go check him out. His latest video had, he likes to pair cards together, and I'm going to do that now, starting the card share. A little bit of a dedication to Adam. So I'll move Ted over here, and I'm going to put Adam's down there. Hopefully you can still see it. This World Series Encyclopedia is not cooperating. So we got Clue on the left, and after his playing days, he came back to the Reds and ended up being the hitting coach for the Reds during their big red machine heyday in the 70s. And one player in particular quoted him as being a really decent man and a great person to be around, and was a huge influence on him as a ball player and his hitting even. And so we're talking about a veteran of the Reds that had been there for almost 12 seasons by this point, the card I'm going to show, and he was already a great hitter and would go on to be the hit king, most hits ever, none other than Pete Rose. And here's his 75 Topps and a beautiful red and yellow border with the blue name. And I just thought, since there's coach and probably his best pupil, all the other great hitters on that team as well, just a great pairing there. We've got the yellow, we have the red, and then we have the blue. So let's soak that in for a second. And beautiful cards. Very fortunate to have those. So we'll move on, and the next pairing, we'll move Pete over here. For one season, he was teammates of this player, but this would have gone back to the 1969 season. And a pitcher at this point, he was a pretty good pitcher, had now become a journeyman and was away from his main team. Had he played for much better teams earlier in his career, this player probably, this pitcher probably would have been a Hall of Famer. I do believe he's in the Cuban Baseball Hall of Fame, and rightfully so. He won 174 big league games, and he had a curveball that the greatest of the game said would buckle him at the knees. And it's none other than Camille Pasquel. I used to have his rookie card, but I lost it. But this is my favorite one of his, my favorite Camille Pasquel card. Smiling there with the Washington Senators cap on in 1958. Tops that beautiful orange background. If you look really close, you can see it says Pasquel underneath the bill of his hat, so he wouldn't be misplaced. A couple of the guys have had this card up on their channels before, and I've thought about getting mine slabbed, but I don't know. It is a pretty nice card, but maybe the sentimental me will send off maybe another SGC submission here still, and maybe I will include that one. I'll keep you posted there. But he pitched for the Reds in 1969. I don't think he pitched a whole lot for them, but he did have that one season with them. Now let's continue on here with pitchers, in particular pitchers that could have been or may still have a chance at the Hall of Fame. And this pitcher, it might be the #1 or the #2, but certainly in the top few pitchers with most wins without being Hall of Fame. And this pitcher has well over 200. It's none other than what his surgery's named after, Tommy John. I love that 3 pitching pose there, but yet the ball is still in the mitt. I may end up picking up his rookie card here on the off chance that, I do think he'll probably get in the Hall of Fame eventually. I just think he has too many wins to not be in the Hall of Fame, and the thing I think holds him back might be he pitched for a lot of different teams, and the Hall didn't tend to typically like that for players that were from that era, and I'm not sure he necessarily had the choice in that. So anyway, I think that's a great print. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to swap out these stands so they're a little more even. I should have done that. That would have been nicer. And we'll keep Vintage Sanctuary. Maybe I can keep them over there. Just get rid of this. That's kind of silly. Maybe even this. Please stand by. This is where I would edit. So if you guys tune me out now, I don't blame you. There we go. Let's just do that. Now we can keep plugging away on Adam there. So anyhow, the transition then, we're going to stick with pitchers, and now we've been in the 70s already. We went back to the late 60s here. Let's go to 1987. Here's another pitcher, maybe an outside chance to the Hall. I think it's going to be tougher for him to get in the Hall of Fame. I love the 87 Don Russ with that black border. This is David Cone, who pitched, probably most famously was known for pitching for the New York Mets. But he started out at the Kansas City Royals, and he was born there. So a local kid that ended up with his hometown team to start off with, and then he pitched several great years with the Mets. He also pitched for the Yankees and the Toronto Blue Jays, most in their playoff pushes, so he had a lot of playoff and World Series experience. But he was affectionately known as Conehead, probably based on the Saturday Night Live series of skits they ran early back in the day. So David Cone, great pitcher in his time. Mike Mussina got in. I'm not sure he's going to. It's still possible. Let's go into a segue then into a hitter then. We're going to go into the 90s now, so a little more modern. And I've got Richie Sexson here. He was a pretty decent first base outfielder that came up with at the time, the Cleveland Indians. And you can see there's Chief Wahoo there, the old insignia that's now defunct, as they are now known as the Guardians. And I like these Leaf sort of rookie and star cards. I don't think this is really his rookie card. He'd been in the league for a while. But he had started off where he might, have been a possible Hall of Famer. A lot of guys did, like Adam Dunn and Austin Kearns, and then what happened? They just all of a sudden blaming it. He had an okay career, but I don't think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. And just so for him to come up, because the Indians decided to go with Richie Sexson, and they moved this guy to my Cincinnati Reds, and one of my most beloved Reds of all time. There he is, resplendent in his Indians garb. I think that's just a classic rookie pose. So there is Sean Casey. It will be my last card I'm going to share. He started off really, really hot. He hit a lot of home runs that first season. He hit 29 homers. And his power numbers just started to kind of decline, but he maintained average and was still a great hitter and a great first baseman, great defensive player, and just a great all-around personality and guy. And maybe someday I can get this autographed by him. I do have another autograph of his, an official card-sponsored autograph. I may show at some point. I might do a little bit of a Sean Casey run. But Case was probably the last Red I really, really followed, and thought he, if he had played like he played that first season, he could have been a Hall of Famer for sure. Him and Ichiro and Albert Pujols were the three players I really loved to watch play and enjoyed following their careers. And I got it right with 2 out of 3 of them on making the Hall of Fame. So thank you for watching to this point. I'm going to sign off with a new slogan tonight. The old one is kind of, I think, ran its course, no pun intended. Oh, wait, I have to do a Strongsville update. So the quick and dirty on that is no Strongsville for me this year. I'm going to have to pull out the last minute. A great opportunity's come up, family-oriented opportunity that is going to be really good. So this is not a lament or an unfortunately, but I am a little sad that I won't be meeting some of you there that were going to be there. I was looking forward to that, but there will be more shows in the future, hopefully. If not this year's National, next year when it's in Chicago again for sure, I am going. I'm going to book it now. There's no doubt in my mind. But until then, I'll continue to interact with all of you via video and through other electronic means of communication, and look forward to meeting you all soon in the future. But this year, unfortunately, it's just not going to be in the cards for Strongsville. So, but on that note, my new exit line is going to be, don't forget your ABCs. Always be collecting.